Welcome to another episode of the Mel Matt Podcast, and I'm Mel Matt, and today we're going to be doing a pretty cool little episode that I've kind of always wanted to do, and we're going to be talking about the Haunted Mansion, and that's the 2003 movie with Eddie Murphy and Jennifer Tilly. But first, we'll go ahead and get the shouts. First of all, Chucky's Playground, just a great place to be. You know, we're constantly getting new members. I believe we had a new member sign up last night, in fact, and right now we have 77 members, which is pretty cool. I mean, we're definitely building up some community there, you know. And I have a feeling that it won't be long until we get to 100. That's just going to be absolutely amazing when we do. And I have a feeling it won't be long until we get to 100. But if you like to be part of our community, definitely sign up. You know, we have a brand new site layout by our graphic designer, Tiffany Valentine. She did an amazing job with the layout. It looks awesome, you know. So definitely sign up. We have all types of discussions and all types of conversations going on. You know, I'm proud to say that I've made quite a few friends on that site, and it's just a really cool place to be and a really cool place to hang out. You know, so definitely sign up because we would love to have you. And another shout out goes out to Movie Mayhem with Spanky and G, and they just do a great job, you know. And they recently did a 2007 Adam Sandler drama, Reign Over Me. And I've never really seen that movie all the way through. I've seen parts of it, though. And from what I've seen, it's really good. You know, when Adam Sandler, you know, when he's not playing his little comedy shtick, he's actually a pretty good dramatic actor. You know, he's actually pretty good. You know, when he's on, you know, I had to get that impression out. Spanky G did a terrific job doing that in the episode, so I just had to do my own impression. You know, that kind of voice. You know, but anyway. The episode was absolutely amazing, you know, and definitely listen to them because they're really great. I could listen to them talk for hours about movies, you know, very knowledgeable and very entertaining. The chemistry between those two is absolutely amazing, and they're always taking suggestions about movies. So if you have a suggestion for them, let them know on their YouTube channel because it's just really, really cool. And can't wait to see what else they have for us. And one more thing before I move on. I want to talk about something that's happened on my YouTube channel. Because my YouTube channel has kind of been blowing up in recent days or so. Sunday night, I created a video called Hitler Reacts to Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble. And this video, I did it as a joke, honestly, to tell you the truth. I sort of did it as a joke. I did it, you know, just for fun, just to sort of see, you know, I really just did it for a couple of my friends, and I thought a couple of my friends would kind of get a kick out of it. You know, I thought, you know, at best it would have 10, maybe 15 views. You know, I sort of thought that way. But then, you know, out of nowhere, it really blew up. It really blew up. I think because it was so topical. Because a lot of people really hated the fact that Roman Reigns won at the Royal Rumble. And that's the reason I created it. Because while I'm not pissed off that Roman Reigns won, I wouldn't have picked him to win because I don't think he's ready just yet for a main event spot, you know. But on Twitter, I just kept seeing all these angry and nasty responses to Roman Reigns winning. And I felt, you know what, I've always wanted to do one of those Hitler Reacts videos, why not, and the next day I saw that it had 400 views, and it was just absolutely amazing. And all of a sudden, I see this guy on YouTube, Tyrone Magnus, I think his name is. He reacted to the video, reacted positively to it, and I think that gave it a huge boost. And then ECW legend Tommy Dreamer actually tweeted about it, and I think that was another huge boost. And I was extremely honored that he watched the video. I mean, I consider that a huge honor, because I used to watch, him sometimes as a kid on Monday Night Raw and ECW, and I mean, I never thought in my wildest dreams I would have any contact with anybody that I was watching when I was a kid, and it was just so cool. He personally responded to me. It said that it made him laugh, and he loved the creativity and me speaking my mind. It was just really amazing to get that response. And I think that's one great thing about social media. It lets you interact with, all these celebrities and all these really great people. And so I think because of the promotion that it got from a couple of big name people, it really blew up. And in about 24 hours, less than 24 hours actually, it had 1,000 views. And I never dreamed in my wildest dreams, I never would have thought it would get that many views. I never would have imagined that. And at the present time, at the time of recording this, it currently has 11,000 views. It's my highest viewed video. It's probably my most popular video. I never thought in my wildest dreams would I ever make a video that popular. And it's just, the response has just been amazing. It's just been overwhelming. So to everybody who's watched the video, thank you very much. It really, I really appreciate it very much. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing, and and I got quite a few new subscribers because of that. A couple of days ago, before I posted it, I had about 20. Now I have 34, and that might not seem like a huge boost, but to me it is. Because usually my videos get like 10 views, maybe less than that. As sad as that might sound, but yeah, it's just been amazing. So thank you to all who have watched the video, who all was entertained by it. It's just been really, really cool, the response I've gotten from it. So thank you all for watching it, because I really, really appreciate it. So now I'll go ahead and play Shoot the Shuffle. At number 1, Saints of Los Angeles by Motley Crue, from Saints of Los Angeles. And this is a really cool little song. It's a pretty cool song from Motley Crue's latest album, and it's probably going to be their last album. And Motley Crue actually just released a new song called All Bad Things, and I believe it's going to be their farewell song. And I don't really want them to go away, especially with this song, because while I wasn't the biggest fan of it when it first came out, it has grown on me. But it's kind of a bland way to go out on. I wish it had a Mick Mars guitar solo. I really wish it had that. But overall, I think it's a decent song. I hope they'll do at least more music, because they're pretty good. Number 2, Angel by Aerosmith, from Permanent Vacation. This is a really good power ballad from Aerosmith from their 1987 comeback album, Permanent Vacation. And Permanent Vacation is a very good album. Number 3, Band Played On by Joe Walsh from Analog Man. And this one is actually a really cool deep album cut from Joe Walsh's latest album. It's really good. Number 4, Let's Spend the Night Together by David Bowie from Aladdin Sane. This is a great cover of Let's Spend the Night Together by Rolling Stones by David Bowie. And I actually think David Bowie's version is better than the Rolling Stones version, actually. But that's just me, honestly. Number 5, Learning to Live by Dream Theater from Images and Words. This is a really cool final track by Dream Theater. It's progressive metal, and that kind of genre is just really cool to listen to, especially when it's something by Dream Theater. Number 6, Savior by Lisa Marie Presley from To Whom It May Concern. I think this one was a bonus track on like the Japanese version of the album or something like that. I know it's not available on the United States version, at least the version that I got anyway. But this one is pretty cool. Number 7, It's Still Rock and Roll to Me by Billy Joel from Glass Houses. This one is a pretty cool little song as well. Number 8, The Last in Line by Dio from The Last in Line. And this one is a really cool song. And I also love Tenacious D's cover version of it on the Ryan James Dio This Is Your Life tribute album. Number 9, Whatever You Became by Cold from Year of the Spider. I really like Cold, and I really love Year of the Spider album. I really think that's a great, terrific album. If you haven't listened to it, definitely check it out because it's really good. And finally, number 10, The Ballad of John and Yoko by the Beatles. And this was a really interesting little song because it was done by just John and Paul. George Harrison, I believe, was on vacation, and Ringo Starr was filming the film The Magic Christian. So John and Paul wrote the song, and they ended up recording it together. I think Paul played drums and bass, and John played guitars and vocals. And it's really cool. And it's really cool to see two people do that, because when you listen to it, it really does sound like a full band. So, it's kind of surprising to find that it's only by two people, but it's by two of the most talented people that have ever existed. So it's probably not that surprising. So that's all for Shoot the Shuffle. And now it's time to talk about the main event, and that's the Haunted Mansion. And this is the 2003 film adaptation. And I'll just go ahead and give a little backstory on this. This was originally based on the amusement park ride at Disney World / Disneyland. I'm not sure which one it's based more upon. I have no idea if the two rides at the two different theme parks differ in any way. I've never been to Disneyland, so I wouldn't know. I've been to Disney World many times. Like, I recently just went in December, and it was awesome. Unfortunately, the Haunted Mansion was down when I just went recently, because they were like refurbishing it or something. I really don't know, but I really love that ride. And really, the story on the ride is you're a guest in the Haunted Mansion, and you board a Doom buggy, and you basically just take a tour throughout the mansion. There's not really that big a story going for it. There's 999 ghosts in it. And you have all those characters, and that's about it. I wouldn't really say the ride is anything special, but it's a really cool ride. If you haven't rode it when you're at Disney World, definitely ride it. If it's up, anyway. Because it's a really cool ride. If you're a fan of horror or just kind of scary rides, it's not that scary, but Disney's scary, I guess I should say, So anyway, that leads to the Haunted Mansion movie. In 2003, this was released in 2003. 2003 was the year that Disney seemed to like to do film adaptations of their rides. Because earlier that year, they had done Pirates of the Caribbean. So, and months later they did Haunted Mansion. And previously they had done the Tower of Terror movie, which I never saw, but I might end up watching it for the podcast. Because it does, I want to see that. I want to see how badly they messed it up, or how good they did. I don't know. Considering that it was an ABC made-for-TV movie, I'm sure they messed it up somehow. And I think they also did some Mission to Mars movie. I've never ridden that ride. I've never even heard of that ride. So, I mean, I wouldn't know. But, this is a movie, so I'll go ahead and talk about it. The story really begins with this sort of prologue from, and it takes place way back when. And it centers around Master Gracey, and he's planning to get married to his lover, Elizabeth. But Elizabeth mysteriously dies, and Master Gracey ends up hanging himself. And this really surprised me, because this is a Disney movie, mind you. This is a PG movie. And it kind of shows him hanging himself. It doesn't actually show him committing the act, but it shows the aftermath. And I was shocked that they were able to get away with that. And I was kind of surprised that they were able to show that. I mean, like, this is Disney really kind of taking a risk here, you know. And I don't know if it flew over kids' heads when they saw it, or if, I don't know, but it was pretty brave of Disney to do something like that. But we go to the present, and Jim Evers is a real estate agent, and that's our main character, Jim Evers, who's played by Eddie Murphy. And Eddie Murphy, not really a lot to say that hasn't already been said. The guy's a legend. You know, his stand-up speaks for himself. He was on Saturday Night Live way back when. And he was in 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop. And Spankin' G and Chucky 105 Awesome will know this. He was the voice of Donkey in the Shrek series. They're going to know that. But he's been in a ton of stuff. He was in the Nutty Professor remakes. So he's been in a ton of stuff, and he's a comic legend. And I'm not going to lie, but this kind of started as a little downfall in a way. Because the early 90s, he sort of had that downfall, and then he came back with Nutty Professor. But it's kind of a downfall again, because this was around the time that he began to do kiddie films, you know, kind of family films. You know, stuff that was sort of the opposite of 48 Hours and Beverly Hills Cop and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that these films are bad necessarily, because I like Haunted Mansion and I like Daddy Daycare and I like, you know, those type of films that he was doing. But I wouldn't really say that they're the same, you know. But yeah, anyway. And he plays Jim Evers, and Jim is he's the stereotypical workaholic husband and father who's never there for his family, blah, blah, blah. You know, you've seen that character 100 times. You know, you've seen it all the time. They don't really do anything that new or interesting with the character. And he is a real estate agent, and he ends up missing his anniversary, his wedding anniversary. He ends up suggesting going on a vacation to a nearby lake. And Sarah ends up getting contacted by Gracey Manor. And it's Master Gracey. It's the Haunted Mansion, basically. It's the Haunted Mansion. And she's told to come alone, but the whole family ends up going. And it's on the Louisiana Bayou as well. Which, awesome, the Haunted Mansion is in my backyard, apparently. Apparently the Haunted Mansion is in my home state. So I might have to go see that. But, yeah, so they end up going and they meet, all these little characters. They meet Master Gracie. And the guy that plays Master Gracie is really good. His performance is really good in here. And they meet the butler, Ramsley. And I'll go ahead and say it. He's obviously the villain. And I'll just go ahead and say that because, they kind of treat it like a twist in the movie, but it's really not. I'll tell you why. One, this movie's over a decade old. If you haven't seen it, oh well. But, yeah. It's over a decade old, so you probably know about it by now. And second of all, he is very obviously the villain. He makes no effort to really kind of be mysterious or anything like that, because he always speaks in this really ghostly manner. Do you believe in ghosts, Mr. Evers? He speaks kind of like that. So, it's really not that shocking that he's the villain of the movie. And he's played by Terrence Stamp. And you might know him as the original General Zod in the original Superman movies back in the late 70s, early 80s. I don't know which ones he's in exactly. I know for sure he's in Superman 2. He might be in Superman 1, but I'm not sure. I don't think he is. I have no idea. But I do know that he's in the Superman movies. He was General Zod. Kneel before Zod! He played that. And he was also the original Chancellor in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I don't remember his character's name exactly. I do know that he's the original Chancellor before Palpatine wins the election or whatever went on in that movie. So that's what you know him from, probably. And there's also these staff members. I really don't know exactly what their roles are. I guess servants, I guess would be the right word, but I really don't know. And Ezra, I believe, is played by he's played by Wallace Shawn, and he's one of those actors where you might not recognize his name, and you might not even recognize who he is, but when you hear him, you will know who he is. He played Rex in he did the voice of Rex in the Toy Story series. He was he's done a lot of stuff. He was in The Princess Bride, and he was Cher's teacher in Clueless. So he's done quite a few stuff, and he's pretty good in here. And the storm ends up flooding a nearby river, and Gracie allows the Evers to stay the night. And not a lot of people are really happy with that idea, but they don't really have a choice. And Jim ends up getting trapped in a secret passage, and Gracie pretty much ends up trying to get with Sarah, because the idea of it is that Sarah, who by the way is Jim's wife, and Sarah just happens to look exactly like Elizabeth, Gracie's lover. Like, it's like a spitting image, Like, what are the freaking odds, But, Jim ends up meeting Madame Leota. And Madame Leota is played by Jennifer Tilly. And, obviously, Jennifer Tilly plays Tiffany in the Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, and Curse of Chucky. She was also in Liar Liar, Bound, Bullets Over Broadway. She's been in a ton of stuff, and I love her. I think a lot of people know that I love her and her acting. Yeah, she's really, really good in here. And Madame Leota is actually from the ride itself. She's probably one of the major characters. I think she's the character that everybody knows. She's the gypsy woman's ghost, and it's encased in a crystal ball. and it's pretty cool. So they end up going to Madame Leota, Jim and his children, for answers about why Sarah looks so much like Elizabeth. And everybody in the mansion is ghosts, and they were cursed by the suicides of Gracie and Elizabeth. And when they're reunited, the curse will be broken, and they can go off to the afterlife. And Gracie ends up believing that Sarah is a reincarnation of Elizabeth. So they end up finding a letter which was written by Elizabeth, and it's to Gracie, and she said she wanted to marry, so she was murdered by somebody. And I'll give you one guess as to who that somebody was. And yeah, it was Ransley. And Ransley he reveals that he poisoned Elizabeth. And he was trying not to let Gracie abandon his heritage or whatever. I really don't know. It doesn't really make that much sense to me. But he ends up trapping the children in the trunk. And he actually ends up throwing Jim out of the house. And he ends up... Gracie ends up trying to marry Sarah. And if Sarah doesn't go through with it, the children... Something bad's going to happen to the children. So she ends up having to do it. And Madame Leota, out of nowhere, ends up going to Jim outside. I'm not sure exactly how she went outside anyway, but she ends up encouraging Jim to try again. You try, you fail. You try, you fail. Try again. So he ends up confronting... he ends up stopping the wedding. And he ends up giving Elizabeth's real letter to Gracie. And Ransley ends up going insane and pretty much summons a lot of crazy stuff to happen. And out of nowhere, a fiery dragon emerges from the ballroom fireplace, and it drags Ransley down to hell. And he ends up trying to take Jim with him, but Gracie ends up saving Jim. And Sarah ends up collapsing because she was poisoned by Ransley. And throughout all of this, there's a spectral orb that was following mainly the kids around, but it's just following around in the mansion. It ends up being the spirit of Elizabeth. And it possesses Sarah, and Sarah's revived. And the curse is lifted. Elizabeth and Gracie reunite. And they depart to the afterlife with all the other ghosts in the mansion. And Jim and his family finally end up heading on a private vacation. And he ended up taking Madame Leota and the 4 singing bus. That's one thing I forgot to mention. I want to mention that, because this is probably one of, if not the best moment in the entire film. Because there's these 4 singing bus, and these bus are near the end of the ride as well. And they're singing along. And Jim tries to get them to help him, but they just keep singing about anything. And it's pretty funny. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. There it is. It's really, really funny. You know. So, and watch after the credits, because after the credits, there's a really cool scene featuring Madame Leota, and people who have rode the ride will know this. She basically farewells the audience, and she ends up reciting the same dialogue that she does at the end of the actual ride, and be sure to bring your death certificate. We've been dying to have you. She basically says what she says at the end of the actual ride at Disneyland and Disney World. And I really love that nice little touch there. I really love that they did that. So, overall, I really liked this movie. I thought it was pretty funny. it could be a little bit scary at the same time. At least Disney scary. Anyway, I mean, it's a PG movie. They're not going to do, like horror movie stuff or anything like that. But it served its purpose, and I thought that it was faithful to the ride for what it was. They have all the characters, and it's not like there's a story in the Haunted Mansion anyway. At least not that I ever caught on to. Gracie is actually a character that was mentioned. He has a tombstone, like in the ride queue. Like when you're walking into the ride, when you're walking into the building, the Haunted Mansion itself, to ride the ride, there's all these tombstones, and you can look at them. And there's one for Madame Leota, there's one for millions of the ghosts in there, and then there's one for Master Gracie. And it's like, here lies Master Gracie. I don't know. Master Gracie is laid to rest. No mourning, please, as request, or something like that. It's something along those lines. But anyway, I really liked this movie. I thought it was a pretty good, family little movie. Pretty good little Disney movie. For some reason, not a lot of people really like it. For some reason, but I personally liked it. If you're a Disney fan, or more specifically, if you're a Disney World fan, Disneyland fan, if you're a fan of Disney World, or if you're just a fan of Disney in general, definitely check it out, because I found it to be really enjoyable. So that's all for this episode of the Mailman Podcast, and this was episode number 49, which means that the next episode will be a milestone episode. It's going to be episode number 50. What will I do for episode number 50? Find out this Friday. Until then, I'll see you then.